You don't have to pay. Please, just eat before the food gets cold." The words fall softly between the clatter of dishes and the low hum of Christmas. Music playing from an old speaker in the corner. A young black waitress stands beside a small table near the window, holding 2 steaming plates. Across from her sit an elderly couple, bundled in worn coats, their hands trembling slightly as they hover over the edge of the table. The man's eyes glisten. The woman's lips part, but no words come out. It is Christmas Eve, and the diner is nearly empty. Snow presses gently against the windows, turning the street outside into a blur of white and gold lights. Most people are home by now, wrapped in warmth, laughter, and family. But inside this small diner, the air smells of coffee, gravy, and quiet loneliness. The waitress's name is Grace Miller, 24 years old. Her shoes ache, her back is sore, and her apron is smudged from a long shift that should have ended an hour ago. She stayed late because the manager needed help. She stayed because someone always needs help on nights like this. The old couple had come in just before closing. They moved slowly, carefully, like every step needed permission from their joints. They shared one menu, whispering back and forth, counting coins with embarrassed smiles. Grace noticed right away. She always noticed things like that. When she came back to take their order, the man cleared his throat and asked if it was okay to just get 1 soup and 2 spoons. Grace smiled like it was the easiest request in the world. "Of course," she said. "Take your time." But she didn't write down soup. Instead, she went to the kitchen, her heart tight in her chest, and spoke quietly to the cook. She paid for the meals herself. Turkey, mashed potatoes, vegetables, bread, and 2 small slices of pie. Christmas plates. Now, she stands by their table, gently sliding the food toward them, pretending it's nothing special. The woman looks down at the plate as if it might disappear. Her hands rise to her mouth. The man grips the edge of the table, shoulders shaking slightly as he tries to keep his composure. Grace leans in and lowers her voice. Everyone deserves a warm meal on Christmas Eve. She walks away before they can argue. Grace's life has never been easy, but it has taught her something important. Kindness is not a performance. It is a habit you build when the world has not been kind to you. She grew up in a small apartment with her mother and younger brother. Her father left early, quietly, like a door closing without warning. Her mother worked double shifts at a nursing home and still came home smiling, still cooked dinner, still asked about school. When money ran out, her mother found ways to stretch love instead. Grace learned early how to give without keeping score. Christmas was always simple. No piles of gifts. No big trips. Just food, laughter, and the promise that tomorrow would come. Mother used to say something that stuck. You never know who you're feeding. Sometimes it's hunger. Sometimes it's hope. Grace carries those words with her now as she refills coffee cups and wipes down counters. The diner is quiet. A few customers leave tips and wishes of Merry Christmas. The clock ticks closer too. Closing time at the small table by the window. The old couple eats slowly, carefully, as if savoring not just the food, but the moment. The woman closes her eyes after the first bite. The man reaches for her hand, squeezing gently. Tears slide down the woman's cheeks, silent and steady. Grace notices but pretends not to. When it's time for dessert, she brings the pie and sets it down with a smile on the house. The man finally speaks, his voice low and rough. "We can't accept all this." Grace meets his eyes, warm and firm. "You already have. Just enjoy it." They eat in silence after that, broken only by the soft clink of forks and the distant jingle of bells from the radio. Outside, snow continues to fall, wrapping the world in quiet. When the couple finishes, Grace brings the check, folded neatly. The total reads 0. The woman looks up at her, eyes wide. This must be a mistake." Grace shakes her head gently. "No mistake. Merry Christmas." The woman reaches for Grace's hand, her fingers cold but strong. "You have no idea what this means to us." Grace squeezes her hand back. I think I do. The couple gathers their coats slowly, carefully. The man pauses as they stand, looking around the diner like he wants to memorize it. He nods once to Grace, a deep, respectful nod that feels heavier than words. They leave quietly. Disappearing into the snow, Grace locks the door behind them and leans against it for a moment, exhaling. Her phone buzzes with a message from her brother, sending a blurry photo of their small Christmas tree and a caption that reads, "Hurry home." She smiles. The next morning, Christmas Day, Grace wakes to sunlight, bouncing off fresh snow. She gets ready for another shift, pulling on her uniform, expecting nothing more than a quiet holiday crowd and a long day. When she arrives at the diner, something feels off. There are cars outside she doesn't recognize. Black, polished, expensive. A man in a tailored coat stands near the door, speaking softly with her manager. Her manager looks nervous, excited, confused. Grace steps inside, heart racing. The man turns when he sees her. He smiles warmly. Grace Miller. She freezes. Yes, he gestures, toward a table near the center of the diner. The old couple from last night sit there, no longer bundled in worn coats. Today they are dressed simply, but neatly, clean, composed. Their posture is different, straighter, calmer. The woman smiles at Grace. Eyes bright. "Please, come sit with us." Grace hesitates, glancing at her manager, who nods eagerly. "Go ahead, Grace." Approaches slowly, her mind spinning. The man from last night speaks, his voice steady and clear. "My name is Thomas. This is my wife, Eleanor." Eleanor reaches across the table and takes Grace's hand again, this time with a smile that holds joy instead of tears. "Last night, you fed us when you thought we were just two hungry old people." Grace swallows. "I didn't think anything. I just did what felt right." Thomas nods. "Exactly." He reaches into his coat and places a folded document on the table. Grace does not touch it. "We didn't come back to embarrass you," Thomas continues, "or to test you. We came back to thank you properly." Grace's chest tightens. "You already said thank you." Eleanor shakes her head gently. "No, not for what you gave us." She leans in, voice soft but sure. "For how you made us feel human again." Grace feels tears sting her eyes. She blinks them back. Thomas continues. "My wife and I lost our son many years ago. After that, we stepped away from the world. We stopped trusting people. We wanted to see if kindness still existed without conditions." Grace's breath catches. Thomas pushes the document closer. Grace finally looks down. It is a letter, a foundation. Her name. Eleanor watches her reaction carefully. "We own several companies. We have more money than we could ever use. But money without purpose is just noise." Grace's hands tremble. This can't be real." Thomas smiles. "It is. And we want you to help us decide where it goes." Grace shakes her head, overwhelmed. "I'm just a waitress." Eleanor's eyes shine. "No, you're someone who saw two strangers and chose compassion without knowing who they were." Thomas adds quietly, "That's exactly who should help shape what comes next." Grace feels the room tilt slightly. She thinks of her mother, of her brother, of every night she watched people struggle quietly. "Why me?" Leonard squeezes her hand. "Because you didn't ask who we were, didn't ask what we could give back. You just fed us." The manager stands nearby, wiping his eyes. Other staff pause. Listening, Grace finally speaks, her voice unsteady but sincere. "If I do this, it won't be about names or attention. It will be about people who sit at tables like that one and feel invisible." Thomas nods without hesitation. "That's exactly what we hoped you'd say." Tears finally fall freely down Grace's cheeks. She laughs softly through them. Shaking her head in disbelief, Eleanor stands and pulls Grace into a gentle hug. "Merry Christmas," she whispers. Grace hugs her back, feeling the truth settle in her chest. Sometimes the smallest table holds the biggest. Turning point in the weeks that follow, Grace's life changes, but her heart does not. She helps launch food programs, supports diners like the one she works in, and funds meals without questions. She keeps working shifts, keeps refilling coffee, keeps noticing the quiet ones, and every Christmas Eve, she makes sure there is always one table reserved near the window, just in case someone hungry walks in. If this story warmed your heart, comment where you're watching from and what kindness means to you this season. Share your thoughts, and subscribe for more cinematic stories that remind us how powerful quiet compassion can be.